Hello everyone, welcome to SustainCast. I'm Layan Abo Shkier, and today I'm joined by John D. Leo, who will be telling us about his experience when it comes to sustainability and the great work that he has been doing in this field. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, we're so happy to have you with us here. If you could tell us about your experience so far, how has been the summit so far? What do you think of the summit?
Well, we presented at the summit about work that has been ongoing for many years to design and restore vegetation and ecological function to deserts. So we're hopeful, and we have memorandum of understanding to do work in the region. Yeah.
That's great. And some people define sustainability, or people define sustainability in so many different ways. They have their own takes. It depends on what they think of sustainability. So, in your personal opinion, how do you define it?
Well, I think one of the things that a lot of people talk about, of course, is business and how to make money. And some people talk about environment. And what I study is ecology. So Earth systems are biological systems. I mean, they're not only biological systems, they're physical systems. But the reason that they're alive, the reason is that they're living systems. And so when we talk about architecture or energy or design or infrastructure or supply chains or something, that's all abiotic. It's about things which are made of materials and so on. But all of them have a very short lifespan. We use them and we use them up, or we waste them, or we throw them away, and they're trash, and they degrade, and then they're nothing. And that's really not what I study. I study Earth systems, like the hydrological cycle, how the water cycle, or the atmosphere, or the fertile soils, or the biodiversity. So, and humans are animals, mammals, and we're part of the amazing biodiversity that's on the earth. But we have a special capability to think in a complex way and to have language. So this is about consciousness. Our special power is consciousness. But if we just use it to talk about buying and selling things, that's not the highest use.
Absolutely. That's an interesting way, to think about it.
Yes.
And you've mentioned a little bit about the work you've been doing over the years. It's not, just a one project. You've been doing this for so long. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do exactly? What are the projects you're working on now?
Well, back 30 years ago, the World Bank asked me to film a baseline study of the cradle of Chinese civilization in the upper and middle reaches of the Yellow River in China. And this area had been the place where the civilization, the Chinese civilization, had begun. And it was massively degraded. It was a desert, basically. Or at least it looked like a desert. So if you started to analyze it, you found that there were 350 to 500 millimeters of annual rainfall, and there were pockets of vegetation, but it had really been eroded. It was the most eroded place on Earth. So the soil type is it's a type of geomorphology. It comes from the grinding of the glaciers on igneous rock, which turns it into powder, and then the powder accumulates over millions and billions of years. And that is very minerally rich, but it erodes because it's like powder, and if it has organic material and bacteria and fungal communities living in it, then it will stick together. But if it doesn't, it will erode away. And this early humans did not know about the geomorphological, characteristics of this particular soil. And so they didn't understand what they were doing when they devegetated the landscape. And then there was huge implications for this. But when we saw this, and we also saw that the Chinese said, well, let's fix it. And, the idea that you go to a giant desert and you say, well, let's fix it, it's not the first thing that comes to mind, that you could even do that. And so I was asked to film the baseline. So I was seeing the desert, and then I was hearing the plans. And I thought, well, if that's possible, then that answers so many of our problems. If we're having food insecurity, or if we're having poverty, or if we're having erratic weather events, or if we're having climate change, this could have a huge effect on all of that. And what happened was, it was transformational. It was possible to totally restore such a landscape. And if you want, I'll give you the pictures and you can show the people what it looks like when you transform an area like this. And so when I learned this, I thought, I don't need to be a journalist anymore. I need to understand everything I possibly can about this, because if I understood it, it would be of so much use. And I remember as a journalist, there were thousands of journalists chasing all the politicians, and some of them were very egotistical, and I didn't think that, great. But when I was filming the Luz Plateau in the upper and middle reaches of the Yellow River, I was the only one. I was standing alone on the top of a mountain. And I thought, well, nobody knows this, and everybody should know this. So it's really worth it to do this. So that's why I did that. And after seeing that, I saw that it was useful all over the world. So I've been to 90 countries around the world, observing, documenting, studying, and communicating about large-scale restoration on the planet. And the laws in Rwanda and Ethiopia that have been changed. There are massive projects. We have one foundation that I'm the ecosystem ambassador for, which has over 2 million hectares. Commonland Foundation has over 2 million hectares in ecological restoration with private investment. We have another group of foundations supporting ecosystem restoration communities, now 80 of these after 7 years of development. So it's moving very rapidly. More people are understanding and more people are doing ecological restoration. And when they do, it benefits them both economically, but also spiritually somehow. And it's not only good for the individuals who are doing it, it's good for the next generations of life as well.
Absolutely. It's actually really impressive and very interesting, what you do of a career, moving from a journalist to studying all of these things and becoming a filmmaker. It's really interesting. So thank you so much for sharing these details and for sharing your journey with us. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.